Hey, sports fans, Greg Matt from Bedford Knife, MKT USA, and ASK Knives. Guess who I've got with me today? Who just ran off right as we were starting the video. She's putting a little light on the situation like the almighty herself. Oh! And here she is, former bride of Frankenstein. How's it going, Amy?
Good.
Frankenstein. Putting on the ridge.
Putting on the ridge.
So, we've got some knives going out to NC Blade in Waynesville, North Carolina. Brandon and Tara, hello. How are y'all doing out there?
Aren't they close to a military base?
Possibly, but not on the top of my memory.
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe not. Regardless of that, here we all are together, the three of us, you out there and the two of us. Thank you for being here. Amy asked me to step in because we've got a new model. Wanted to talk a little bit about that. I want to talk about the different models we've got going here. We've got a USMC fighter fixed with all titanium hardware. This is of the original old style. It's got our new textured, three-dimensionally milled and surfaced textured G10 handle in black G10. Sexy, sexy, sexy. That is all black. That knife's more black than Dave Chappelle. Moving on, we've got an M48 here. And this one's more like Lil Wayne. So it's all black with like a gold tooth or two. Sexy, huh? This is one of my faves. And I think that tip, just the way that diamond tip, the way that's ground, that would be so satisfying to plunge through like a skull. Just a great knife.
Speaking of plunging through a skull.
What?
I wanted to bring some of our old t-shirts back. Like the Boa P one.
Stuck into the raven?
Yeah. People talk, it's stuck into the skull, the raven's flying.
That's right, that's right.
Yeah.
I know, I see you wear that one. This one's baby turd brown. What is
Swift
this?
flipper.
Dijon. Swift FL flipper.
Swift FL flipper. So the girls call it Dijon, I call it baby turd brown. Now I actually like this. It's kind of a sage color. Really, really cool. And I love this color out here in Arizona. Sexy little knife. Up here for a second. So for all of you homos out there who are always castigating me for these gigantic pieces of cutlery we've crafted over the years, just remember, when you make a big knife and you sell 10,000 of them, you just make them. You just make them. And then, when you get a little bandwidth, you build a company, you start making some other stuff, and that's when we came up with other things, right? This is where we got into the more palatable lady size or city slicker style cutlery. It's back down to the table. A nice high tumbled S45 VN blade on a what do we call this? This isn't a
Just a Praceland.
Praetorian. This is such a bitchin' knife. Everything about this is sexy. It's got a little eagle engraved on it, lasered on it.
Anheuser-Busch a little? The eagle?
It does remind me of Bush a little bit. And the nice thing about this knife, it's got a great breaker up on the heel, so you don't have to plunge your whole hand into a window. If you want to break a window, you just give a little knock like that, and break a window. It works really well. I spent a lot of time at a junkyard when I first opened the knife shop, right around the corner from here over at Deer Valley Airport, breaking windows, which was a ton of fun. You know what the most common injury is from breaking a window? If you've got a knife that'll actually properly break a window, which we do because the angle is just right. The most common thing is cuts on the forearm. So remember, it takes almost no energy to break a window with a proper breaker. This knife is on bearings and just so sexy. Anybody's like, Medford makes clunky knives. They've been reading a post from Blade Forums 13 years ago.
Yeah, it could be.
And you know what? It's time to get out of Playboy that's Bush. Get to current Playboy. It's way better. This is current Playboy. That other stuff is Playboy with Bush.
Such a different video than life.
Moving down to our newest model. I got 3 women in the room and everybody's looking at me like I'm a retard. The next knife's our Antic. This is our first forward flipper. It is a forward thumb flipper. This is kind of nice if you're ever like, let's say you're in some country or city that doesn't allow mechanical devices aided for opening. This is a really nice when you're like, well, officer, you grab it here and you do like so. Or you go like that and it doesn't open. And then you can, and most guys can't right out of the box thumb flip it if they don't have one or they aren't used to it. So this knife, so sexy. Got a lot of simplicity to it. It's got these cool asymmetrical chevrons on the side, on the presentation side. Got some opposing hardware here because the team really just makes beautiful combo. Simple, elegant. You could see the numbering on it. It's engraved. It's a very early one that's got a very light etch. These future ones will have a much darker cut into the blade.
That's the very first one, though.
This is the very first one going out.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
I want to talk just a little bit about this edge geometry, okay? So many of you are used to this from me. You're used to a choil with a central plunge that gives you razor sharp beginning to a blade. And that is a modern solution to this age-old question here. When you have two plunges, where do you actually start the sharp edge? Now, the further back you go, the wider the steel is and the more of a little sharp tooth you get right here. And everybody seems to find that objectionable, and I understand many reasons why, which is why the choil exists. Here's the thing. A knife like this is really good. Let's say, for instance, you want to cut some fabric into some strips. Let's say you're doing some field improvisational stuff. Like, let's just say you're reenacting a scene from Rambo, and you get stuck in the woods and you run across a truck seat that's got fabric on it, and you take a stick and you want to strip the fabric so you can wrap it around and make a torch. You can go down the cave and get away from Brian Dennehy. I get it. If you decide to do that and you want to strip the fabric, the problem with the choiled knife is when you plunge it all the way in, like up to the hilt, and you go to drag it, it's resting against an area that's not sharp. Let's say, for instance, you want to scare a bunch of guys in a tent, and you want to plunge into the tent, cut open the tent, yell in, "Ah, I'm a bear!" And they all shit themselves, or you catch them having gay sex. The thing about this knife that's cool is you plunge it right in, and as you drag your hand down, there's no choil for it to saddle into, and it slides up on the blade. So this is really good. Let's say, for instance, you got caught in a fishing net while you're swimming, boating, ocean diving, and you screwed up and have your knife in your pocket. A knife with a choil in a panic situation will catch into the mesh of the net, and it won't pull through and cut real easily. You can do it, but it's a lot of, this thing, you just plug your hand right in, and as you drag it out, it'll cut and just slice right through. So a non-choil knife creates a bit of a geometric conundrum right here. And what we've done is we've added a really symmetrical plunge to keep you a very parallel, crack and razor sharp edge. That's not as sharp as I'd like. That one's gonna go get back and rehoned. Drop point, S45 VN Praetorian T.
Old tumble.
Old school tumble on the handle, which is my fucking most manly fave. It's got some flamed hardware on it, some blue tie. This one's proper sharp. That's good. Let's take a look at this Marauder. You know, there's nothing about this knife that isn't cool. Besides, it's just kind of a sexy. Whoever designed this must have been a savvy sumbitch.
So they say.
Back down here. So this is kind of fun. So what we see, this is typical thing, whether Amy made the call on this or the shop did, we like to do a lot of contrasting tones, colors, and textures. So you see our tumble polished blade against a flat handle with an old tumble on it. It's been pinstriped to re-anode for a little bronze and gold, and then we took that color that's just real subtle on the corners, put it into the hardware, and now it marries together. Your hardware marries to the kind of thinking in the handle, and then the handle contrasts with the blade. And in the closed position, you get this really nice pop of the blade. In the open position, you get a lovely, you know, kind of two-tone. The blade really kind of jumps out at you. You know, there's been the knife world. Obviously, when I jumped into the knife world 13 years ago, there's been all kinds of cool stuff for knives for a long time. I'm not the first guy to do cool stuff, but I thought in the age of consolidation and outsourcing and big companies, I think knives have just gotten really boring, in my opinion. And you remember when I jumped in, I said, look, a lot of people making good knives. I just want to make cool knives. I want to make knives that are cool that I want to carry. Because they made knives and I was like, everything I do, I become like a professional badass at. Like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. If I'm going to carry a knife, I don't want some thing that just any schmo has. I want something badass, and when it's always not much badass. What I saw was an industry that had been commoditized, smashed, crushed by Chinese competition, and it's still in the death throes of getting crushed, which I find to be when cost is the driving factor of an industry, it gets rid of interesting. So yes, there's some interesting stuff out there, but you got to get into the deep end of the swimming pool where there's real money flowing around. We wanted to bring a knife that wasn't like crazy collector price. It was going to be expensive, American made. That is not only like a statement piece, it's not only a style piece, it's a talisman of good taste, American manufacturing, and that you kind of consider yourself a badass at whatever you do and buy and interact with. That's why we did them this way. And what's happened is I got a whole team of people who think about, we never sit around going, how can we make this stuff cheaper? We sit around going, what can we do to make it cooler? What's a better finish? And sometimes I'm like, all right, we gotta tap out. We can't put gold in there. It'll be too expensive. But most of the time, it's just like, how can we make it cooler? How do we make it look better? You see knives going out on the table where there's almost nothing the same, almost
I know,
ever.
I was just looking at it. It's very
Like
cool.
so radically different, all from the same company. So anyways, you guys at NC Blade, if you're interested in these blades from these guys, I'm going to put my glasses on so I don't give you the number to the public toilet in Des Moines. It's 828-356-5523. They've been around since 2018. They're in Waynesville, North Carolina. Call Brandon or Tara at NC Blade. So thank you guys for being part of the Medford Knife and Tool family. Don't forget, go to ASK.com if you want to know about our cool little multi-tool ASK. Do you carry one of those, Amy?
I have it in my purse, yeah.
What do you feel like you know a little bit more about that one?
Yes.
Cool. Well, do your thing. Thanks, you guys. I'm out.
We're done.
See you,
Peace.
kid.
See ya.